You are listening to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast, the podcast for the off-roader with the short attention span.
Episode 82, Curtis Creek. You know, koi fish swim in a school of four, and when they encounter trouble, the A, B, and C koi swim off in different directions, leaving behind the decoy. Sit back, shut the hell up. The 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast is about to begin. Welcome to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki G. I'm here to inform, entertain, and delight your ear holes with all things off-road for the next 10 minutes or so. Why 10 minutes? That's about how long it takes until Grubhub gets here. I'd like to remind you can listen to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Breaker, CastBox, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Stitcher. You can contact the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast at 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. That's 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. And I promise I will not return any emails you may send. Matter of fact, I don't even check this email. If I have my phone with me, I can pull it up, and I've got like 232 unanswered emails, mostly Viagra ads. Nobody ever emails me. You can follow and be ignored by the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, but never on TikTok. TikTok is just weird and strange for me. And I would like to be more involved with social media, but I kind of fizzled out on it. I gotta tell you, the only reason why I joined social media is because somebody told me it was a good way to get free stuff, and I have not gotten any free stuff, so yeah, F you, social media. And Space Rag, you lied to me. Alright, now that we got all that legal mumbo-jumbo boilerplate stuff out of the way, I'd like to talk this week about a recent trip I took. By the time this airs, it'll be about a month ago, up Curtis Creek. I've never heard of this place before, so I stumbled across this place on a YouTube video. It seemed like a nice place, wanted to check it out, so I drove up to it, and I gotta tell you, it was good and bad. Now, if you've never been up Curtis Creek, I suggest you go just to see it. It was very scenic. Flat as glass, smooth dirt road. Had lots of water features. If you're into like little waterfalls and babbling brooks and stuff like that, that's the place to go. It was very interesting. The road itself, we were actually on two different roads, although we never really turned off of the road. And in total it was 27 miles. And that sounds like a lot for off-road, but like I said, it was smooth dirt road, well maintained. You can drive it at a fast clip. We drove it kind of slow because I drive slow, and most of the time I was in the front, and I drive like an old lady. We didn't really stop to observe all the water features and all the stuff to see. We were mainly just looking for a camp spot, so we were just burning through. The trail started right off of I-40. It's really easy to get to. If you're on I-40 in North Carolina and you get off at exit 75 and you make a left, and you're pretty much on the road. It was very, very accessible. Bad thing is once you get off the highway, there's a little mom and pop gas station. And then once you pass that, once you leave that, there's nothing. The whole 27 miles we're up there and back, you're on your own. If you don't have provisions by then, you're out of luck. So the Curtis Creek Road goes kind of northish, and it crosses the Blue Ridge Parkway, and then ends up on Blue Ridge Parkway. If that makes sense. You're going kind of north, and then once you cross the Blue Ridge Parkway, you kind of make a westerly turn, and the Blue Ridge Parkway, west of where you crossed it, kind of makes a northerly turn, so you hit it again. So you cross over to Blue Ridge Parkway, you drive a little ways, and then it ends on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And speaking of which, there's two sections of the Curtis Creek. The bottom one between I-40 and the Blue Ridge Parkway is called Curtis Creek. And then once you cross the Blue Ridge Parkway, it turns into Neal Creek Road. Neal's Creek Road begins and ends on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Never really thought of it that way before. That's a good way to describe it. Okay, so the Curtis Creek is Fire Service Road 482, and it has the Curtis Creek Campground on it, which is a paid campground. There's 24 sites, and they're about $10 a night. There's no RV amenities, and it's open from April to December. Now, there's free dispersed camping on Curtis Creek Road and on Neal's Creek Road, allowed only in marked campsites. And I didn't count them, but there has to be about maybe 6 to a dozen campsites. And they're all right on the water, and they all seemed very nice. We went on the July 4th weekend, and I won't say we got a late start, but we obviously were the last ones up there because every camp space, primitive campsite we saw was full. The paid campsites, they had quite a few people, but there was a couple of empty spots. But let's face it, I don't like camping with a group of strangers. Now, if I'm meeting people for the first time and hanging out with them, that's a different story. But going to a paid campground where your next door neighbor, so to speak, is right next to you, I don't really dig that. I like the wide open spaces. I head up to the mountains to get away from people, and the last thing I want to do is run into them. Now, I'm always up for meeting new people, although I will say consider myself kind of on the shy side, even though I act like a nut. But around people, I tend to be quiet, and usually because whenever I open my mouth, I get into trouble, so I kind of keep my mouth shut around people I don't know. But that's just me. But anyhow, Curtis Creek Road, I recommend going. It was worth the see. Now, when you come to the Blue Ridge Parkway and you cross over it, it turns into Neal's Creek Road, Forest Service Road 2074, and it's the same as Curtis Creek Road. It's smooth, easy drive, and there's camping only allowed in designated camping spots. And I believe the camping spots were numbered. I can't remember. But anyhow, there's clear camping signs, and then there's no camping signs on places that looked like it might make a good campsite, but not. About a third way up Neal's Creek Road, when you're traveling north on it, that's where we started from the south from I-40 and traveled north. About a third of the way, it intersects South Toe River Road, which is Fire Service Road 472. And that's actually the intersection of South Toe River Road, Forest Service Road 472, which will take you to State Highway 80. But if you go to the left, like we did, it continues on the road, on Neal Creek Road quite a bit, and it takes you out on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So shortly after you come across South Toe River, and you can't miss it. It's a fork. It's like the only fork in the road. Like I said, go to the left, or if you had enough and want to get off the road, you take the right, and it'll take you back to slightly more civilization. But we went to the left, and that'll take you past Black Mountain Campground. Black Mountain Campground has 37 primitive sites, 3 with electric hookup. And again, it's open from April to November. The Curtis Creek was open till December. This one's open till November. Why? I don't know. I think the Fed should have all their dates the same. This way we know where we're going and what we're doing on what day. But that's the government gets involved, so wonky shit happens. The night fee for the non-electric campsites are $25 a night, which I think is kind of pricey for camping. You know, it does have water and, well, not water at every site, but it does have water spigots where you get water, and it does have bathrooms and showers. I'm assuming showers. I didn't really check. But it's $35 for a campsite with electric hookup. And from Black Mountain Campground, you could access the Briar Bottom Camp, which has 6 campsites that can fit 50 people each. I guess it's a group campground. And that's $100 a night, which if you break it up to 50 people, that's only $2 a person. That's not bad. But they say 50 people, but I wonder how many tents you can fit on there, because if you can fit one big 50-person tent, boy, man, that would be a freaky night. So somewhere along the Neals Creek Road, it kind of turns southish. It comes out on the Blue Ridge Parkway, just a few miles westward of where you crossed it. Now, what we did is we drove the whole trail, which was about 27 miles, hit the Blue Ridge Parkway. We made a left, and it looped around, and then when it crossed Curtis Creek again, we just made a right on the Curtis Creek and just pretty much came back the way we came. We spent the night on Neals Creek Road, and the campground we found, although it had a fire ring on it, and it was before the sign that said no camping allowed. But I don't think it was a legal campsite. I'm not really going to give you directions to where it was. It was off the beaten trail a little bit. I don't think it was a legal campsite, but we stayed the night there anyhow. And my theory on that is if the forest ranger catches you camping in a campsite that's not supposed to be, I think as long as you're being cool, if you don't have a big blazing fire or no fire at all would really be helpful. And as long as you're being cool and you're not whooping it up, and if you have a bag of trash visible, because that's a big thing about unauthorized campgrounds, is they tend to leave a lot of trash. I think as long as you're being respectful of the land, you could claim ignorance, and I think they would just make you leave. Now, there's probably going to be some Barney Fife guy out there that's going to give you a ticket. And, even if you get a no trespassing ticket, that's not the end of the world, believe me. Don't ask me how I know. But then again, you camp at your own risk. If you're kind of skittish about it, don't do it. Just go to a paid site or find someplace else. And I've always have the understanding that I can go out and visit these new places, and if I find a campground site, that's great. If not, I can just limp back into a civilization and go home, or sleep in a rest area. Not set up camp, but sleep in the back of my Jeep, or even get a hotel for the night or a motel. All right, so I've rambled on long enough and used up almost all of my 10 minutes, if not more. Right now I'm clocking at 19 minutes of talking, which I think I could edit this down to 10. If I just take out all my ummas. All right, till next time, this is Nikki G saying, wheel what you got and be happy.